Go ahead.
My name is Malay Mishra. I am India's High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago. I have been working here for over 4 years now.
Cool. So, what is the purpose of the India High Commission?
The purpose of Indian High Commission is basically to represent the government and people of India. We do cover a lot of areas here in terms of our bilateral cooperation with the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And these span a wide variety of subjects, starting with culture, with diaspora, with capacity building, agriculture, science and technology, IT, education, various other areas. And we have set up our mission from 1948, long before Trinidad and Tobago became independent. That was soon after India's independence, which was in 1947. Soon after that, this was the first mission we established in the whole Caribbean. And since then we are here. When Trinidad and Tobago became independent in 1962, our then commissioner became the High Commissioner, and he was among the first diplomats to present his credentials to Her Majesty the Queen and thereafter the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So that was how it went, and we have been here because of the very strong diaspora factor and people of Indian origin of a majority of the population. They are very drawn to India. We, in a way, we try to satisfy their emotional and cultural requirements, and we sometimes encourage them to travel to India. So we see a lot of these contacts are being established between what we call the diaspora, the Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago, which is one of our most vibrant and very strong diasporas in the entire world, and with India. So this is another very strong area for us. And you just saw Indian Arrival Day, which is the most important event for the Indian diaspora here. This was the day when the first shipload of Indians landed on the shores of Trinidad and Tobago. 225 Indians came on this ship called Fat el Razak. That is where the first contact began between India and Trinidad and Tobago, and that has continued ever since, and that contact has only consolidated, strengthened over the years, and moved on to various other branches. You would see here in society how strongly embedded Indian cultural traditions, customs, Indian texts such as the Bhagavad Gita or the Ramcharitmanas, how people have taken to it with so much of devotion, dedication. So this we encourage, because these are living ties between our two countries. And these are the ties upon which our two societies have come together. And these are also the ties which will help people of both sides understand each other better. So for us, they are very important. And on these, we have based other kind of cooperation. As I said, in education, for example, we are very close to the University of West Indies and the University of Trinidad and Tobago. We run 3 chairs in the University of West Indies, and they have been there for the last 20-25 years, 2 chairs on Indian studies and history and Hindi. And of late, we have introduced a chair on traditional medicine, Ayurveda.
Tenet.
Yes.
I have spoken with him a lot.
Yes.
I actually was doing a project trying to link him with Christo Adonis, who's a Amerindian medicinal shaman in Arima.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so as you would have seen here, traditional medicine, medicines on the basis of herbs, quite popular now among the people, and more people are learning about it. And in India, of course, it's a very important part of our healthcare system. So we introduced it here, and it has been doing very well. We have in fact set up a Ayush Information Center downstairs in the High Commission itself, where we impart information about various aspects of traditional medicine, what we do in India. And after setting up the chair, now the chair is entrusted with working out academic programs for doctors in the University of West Indies, how they could also learn about traditional medicine, and they can supplement their existing knowledge and go for holistic treatment, because the illnesses in today's society require holistic kind of approach, and no one particular branch of medicine is adequate. So the doctor must be qualified enough to understand the entire disease as such. Ayurveda, the best part is it traces the roots of the disease, because it breaks down the fundamental characteristics of a human being into three, and one of the three has to be you. And so if they know that particular treatment for that characteristic of the person, then it's easy for them to work on that. So like allopathic medicine or Western medicine will treat the symptom. Here in traditional medicine, Ayurveda, they go into the roots of it, they go into the cause part of it, and they try to address that, which means long-term and a curative system, and it helps the patient to have a full-fledged wholesale treatment. And in India, Ayurveda, many people come for Ayurvedic treatment to India, particularly to southern India, places like Kerala, where you have Ayurveda is so popular that you have hundreds of Ayurvedic resorts and teaching and training and medicine centers being run by professional Ayurvedic practitioners. So,
and what is the health of the people in that area of the world? I wonder, like statistically, you know what I'm saying? How healthy are the people versus the States or something, you know?
How what?
Healthy.
Yeah. Of course the people are very healthy, because as I said, Ayurveda,
it's like proof, that's what I'm saying, like why don't that's proof.
You
right
see, ancient men, they didn't have allopathic. Allopathic came into this world maybe 300 years back. Before 300 years, men, women were getting cured. There was a system of medicine, and that was the traditional system of medicine. You could use the herbs behind in your kitchen backyard to produce medicines, your what we call the grandmother's recipe, and you could develop your own potions or whatever medicines you can get out of them. And this has run for centuries, and we strongly believe in that tradition of traditional medicine. So to answer your question, people are very healthy, and you have to watch your diet, you have to watch your lifestyle, and you have to follow certain regimen, exercise, yes, discipline in life, and then everything goes off well. And you can minimize the intake of medicines actually into your body, because all medicine is kind of poison, and you don't want to consume poison more and more. So if you keep yourself healthy by acquiring this healthier habits, then you will be healthy for the rest of your life.
So on that side note, it was interesting. So you kind of already mentioned it, but what's the mission statement? You kind of answered that, of the High Commission?
Well, High Commission basically, as I said, represents the government of India in various areas. We build relations, you can say, between the two governments, Government of India and Government of Trinidad and Tobago. And we service the government through various frameworks. We have various agreements, MOUs, and there are various aspects in which we develop contacts between our two governments. And when there are visits, for example, from our side to here and from their side to there, we facilitate the visits. We plan those visits, and then when those things happen, for example, last year in January, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Kamala Prasad Biswas, she led a visit to India with a big delegation, and so it was a lot of work. And what happens is, during these visits, focus is paid on the bilateral relations between the two countries, of which the dignitary is, and a lot of things happen during that time. So all these visits are used as a means to boost the level of bilateral cooperation more and more. So that is what happens, and we are some kind of a mini India, you can say. You are sitting now in the territory of India. You are actually now in India. You have some immunity by virtue of the fact that you are within Indian territory. You are here. So that is how it is. We are a diplomatic entity, and we get some privileges, some immunities by virtue of that fact that we represent our country, our sovereign government in this place, and similarly all other missions also do the same way. So that is in a nutshell what we do. It is enormous work, and it involves continuous work. I almost do at least 8 to 10 hours every day on an average. So that is how we build relations. Our mandate is to build stronger relations between our two countries in whatever way possible.
Cool. How do you promote or support dance of the Indian diaspora in Trinidad?
Yeah, there are various ways. We have a cultural center here. It's called the Mahatma Gandhi Institute for Cultural Cooperation, MGICC. There we have 3 teachers from India. One is dance, and she's now teaching Bharatanatyam dance. And there are 2 other teachers. One is for vocal music, and the other is for percussion, tabla. Besides that, we also teaching yoga through local teachers, and also Hindi, the language. This is one aspect of our promoting Indian items, cultural. The other is to help various other local cultural bodies to develop their artistic and cultural strengths and engage with them. For example, there is an organization called the National Council of Indian Culture, and we bring our delegations from India, which this organization also partners with us in hosting these groups in Trinidad and Tobago. Now when they do that, they automatically raise the profile of these organizations, and they bring these organizations to for publicity and other purposes, because these groups are very good groups from India. They come and they perform in many parts of the Trinidad, also in Tobago. So in the process there is a solid networking which goes between us and these institutions and the government of India. So that is the second way. Third way is to promote them through giving out scholarships. Scholarships through this organization called Indian Council for Cultural Relations, ICCR. And these scholarships are called cultural scholarships. And they are provided for students to go to India and to learn various disciplines, whatever the choice is. For example, you may like to go and learn Odissi in India. So you could get an Odissi, you could apply for a scholarship, a cultural scholarship under the ICCR Cultural Scholarship Scheme, and go to India, and you will be fixed one institution, one important institution in Odissi, if you have to learn Odissi, and there you go and engage yourself in a dedicated way of learning for 2 years at least, and more also. So this scholarship continues so long as you are in India, and that is how another way of promoting. And there are many students, thousands of students going from various parts of the world to learn various aspects of culture, Indian culture. So that is the third aspect. Fourth is we help in the media. For example, we promote Indian cultural programs on television, on radio. We give them some select films from time to time and engage in what we call public diplomacy. Like I go out to television channels, I speak about various aspects of Indian culture from time to time. I go to radio stations, I engage myself in discussing. So I give some seminars, some talk shows, various other things. So we engage the general population about what the various aspects, the various diversities of Indian culture. So these are various aspects, and we improvise the way we would like to see more and more of dissemination of knowledge about India's culture, because it's a vast culture. It has come down for thousands of years. You cannot really have a short period of time to give all that which is there, but you can at least make a beginning, and you can engage the people. Here I find in Trinidad and Tobago, because of the vast diaspora, people are naturally looking at India because of their ancestors who came from India, and because of the fact that they brought so much of culture with them, which the present day generation also has kept quite alive. and you can see that in the day-to-day life of the people. You go to a marriage, you see the culture. You go to any other some kind of festival, you see that kind of culture. You go to the temple, you see that kind of culture. So it is everywhere. Everywhere in the society you see that culture. So you feel that India, the India which is there in India, is also here, as part of this country. But this country prides in the fact that it is a multicultural society, it's a plural society. So there are people who have been brought from Africa, whose ancestors had come from Africa. There are people whose ancestors were from China, from Syria, Lebanon, from Europe, from France, UK, and of late from other countries also. So you have a very diverse mix in this society, small population, but very diverse and therefore very rich. And we pride in the fact that Indian culture is very strong element in this multicultural society, multi-ethnic society. So our task is basically to address the first constituency, which is the diaspora, and thereafter across the board to everybody, because culture has no boundaries. Anybody can learn Indian dance. Anybody can learn any aspect of India's culture. So we promote, we encourage, and we have various arrangements. For example, a cultural exchange program between our two governments, by virtue of which we encourage exchanges of teachers, of resource materials, of cultural delegations from both sides, experts, and that is how we feel that a lot of dialogue is going on between the two countries, which is started from 1845, right from the year the first ship landed here on Trinidad and Tobago. So it's been a very enriching experience for me.
And then the commission, what you said it was established when?
1948.
Or 1948.
Yeah.
But before then?
Before then, India was not independent. So, it was all a part of the British rule. Of course, in 1948 also, Trinidad and Tobago was still under British rule, but we were independent. So India became independent in 1947. So we set up our first commission, and the person who headed that commission was called a commissioner. And it was only in 1962 that the commissioner became the High Commissioner.
I wonder why they decided to, I mean, it's a great idea to bring commissioners to other parts of the world, especially the Western world.
No, they're everywhere in the world. We have 200 missions all over the world. So you have 54 High Commissioners. Basically, High Commissions are members of the British Commonwealth, what we call the General Commonwealth. And all the heads of the missions who are located in those countries are called High Commissioner. The others who are in non-Commonwealth member countries are called ambassadors. So between High Commissioners and ambassadors total, we have about 180 or plus nearly people from India who are belong to the Indian diplomatic service, and we perform a certain role, what I said. And then when we finish our term, which is normally 3 to 4 years, then we go to some other country to serve, or we go back to India, whatever happens with the person. But we are constantly rotating, we are constantly moving from place to place. We are not settled in any one place. That is how diplomats are. It's not only Indian diplomats, but diplomats from all over the world.
Right. Diplomats. Yeah. Maybe I'll be a diplomat someday. Just kidding. I'm sorry. So, why do you think it's important for Trinidad and Tobago to keep traditions of India alive here?
I think the first thing is their own identity, to keep their identity alive. That a person of Indian origin needs to also show to himself and to the rest of his community and to the larger population that his ancestors came from India, that he though they would very much like to evolve their own culture, and it's a Trinidadian culture, for example, they have evolved it, and there's no problem with that. But out of that, they have to guard to maintain their own cultural identity, one can say, and that is the things which help them by keeping alive those cultures. For example, if you were in Diwali here, you would see what fantastic way they perform, they celebrate Diwali. and the days and days of festivities and rituals and elaborate that they do, and even more so than in India.
Right. I was told that in India now it's evolved there, and now they use just like lights, you know, as like LED lights or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
as string lights as opposed to the actual, you know.
Yes, you see, in India now nowadays, very less people would be burning the diyas, the earthen lamps, and they all go for the other kinds of lights or candles or other kinds of lamps, and they have a lot of merrymaking, and they go out and party and celebrate. Is more of a celebration, but here they are very authentic about their observance of Diwali. They'll go and buy those lamps and put the lamps in front of the houses and follow the traditions which have been followed for ages, and they have
So
kept
it's
that.
almost more preserved here.
That's right,
Yeah.
more preserved here.
So, how you personally, having come from India to Trinidad and you've lived in Trinidad for a few years now, how do you feel? You mentioned that the culture has evolved because they're not in India, they're in Trinidad. In what ways do you see this evolution within the Indian community?
I think they have evolved in the sense of, because they are a part of the Western Hemisphere, and they are very close to the Americas because of the geographical location of the country. So they have taken on a lot of Western cultural attributes. For example, they have something called calypso. You must have seen. Calypso is typically a Western construct of rendition of music. Now, calypso and Indian music, they coexisted in the same time. So what happened was they developed a music called soca, and soca is nothing but calypso and Indian music. And of late they have come with a new form of music called chutney. Chutney is also a derivative of Indian music with certain other kinds of elements which have gone into it. It's called a chutney. Now there is something called soca chutney, which is again another pure fusion of all. So what I'm saying is, you have Indian music, that thing is there, but you evolve according to the place where you are, according to the influence you have, the circumstances in which you are. So I think it is good to let cultures evolve. Then only they can move on. They can move on, and they can if cultures stagnate, they die. Culture should never stagnate, and culture should always be allowed to move on with time. Of course, the basic foundations of the culture should be there, but with that, they can take on different forms, and that is a language to communicate in the society. So you can stay and evolve in a certain culture, and yet call yourself faithful to that original culture. So that is how these people have been. So I feel happy that here, when you come, you may not get the authentic Indian culture here, what we say, but that doesn't matter, because what you have here is authentic for them. How they have perceived their culture and how they have evolved their culture, I think that is well to be appreciated.
Very good. Let's see. I guess you kind of mentioned this, yeah. I just wanted you to comment on if you've seen an ancestral impulse among people in Trinidad to go back to India. I mean, is there, you mentioned that already. You already talked about that.
Yeah.
And what can...
Well, in the beginning, many people have gone back to India from among their...
not even necessarily like, well, yes, going back and learning from India, but as well as like, watching Indian movies and
Yes.
wearing Indian clothes. And
That's right. That is too much in the culture, actually. They do that because, as I said in the beginning, that they have to have that feeling of Indianness in themselves. How do they distinguish themselves from other ethnic groups? if they wear a sari or if they go for an Indian movie, they will come apart as that is typical Indian way of living, and many of them do live an Indian way of living. So I think they have deliberately chosen that way of life. Yet, as I said, being part of the Western diaspora, Western hemisphere, they are susceptible to Western influences also. So they have a very curious kind of mixture between the Western influences, Western circumstances, and the Oriental evolution of the culture. So that's how they have been formed. I think that gives them some kind of a strength, some kind of a resilience, and some kinds of a identity formation, which is very important to them.
So I guess that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, those are the questions.
Come out well?
Very good.